Have you ever shared something and instantly regretted it? Maybe it was your age, your finances, or a detail from your past. It might have felt small at the time, but later, you wondered if it was better left unsaid. The truth is, as we reach our 50s, 60s, and beyond, we begin to understand a powerful lesson. Not everything needs to be shared. In fact, keeping certain things private becomes a form of wisdom, a way to protect your dignity, your peace of mind, and even your personal freedom. In this video, I want to walk with you through 9 important things you should never share with anyone, especially once you're in the 55 to 75 age range. These are not just random tips, they're insights drawn from years of working with older adults, hearing their stories, and witnessing how oversharing, sometimes with the best intentions, can backfire in subtle and painful ways. And while some of these may surprise you, each one carries a lesson that could save you from unnecessary stress, judgment, or misunderstanding. So as we go through each one, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If something strikes a chord or feels personally true, please type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Type 0 and let me know how I can do better. Your voice matters here. And if you find this content helpful, feel free to like the video and subscribe for more honest, heartfelt insights like these. Now, let's begin with the very first thing you should always keep to yourself, and why it might be costing you more than you realize. 1. Age, more than just a number. There's something deeply personal about age. It's often the first thing people ask, wrapped in small talk or curiosity. How old are you now? And while it may seem like an innocent question, it carries more weight than most realize. In my years working with older adults, I've seen how revealing your age can unintentionally open the door to subtle forms of judgment, stereotyping, or even pity. People may begin to assume what you're capable of, how healthy you are, or even how long you have left. That's not fair, but it's real. Ageism is still alive, especially in a culture that celebrates youth. Once people know your number, they might offer advice you didn't ask for, speak to you more slowly, or worse, treat you like you've reached the final chapter of your story. But your story is still unfolding, and your age is only one line in it. What truly matters is how you feel, how you live, how you love. Longevity isn't promised to anyone, and age doesn't define your worth. Your energy, your values, your wisdom, those are what people should see first. By keeping your age private, you give others the opportunity to know you for who you are, not how long you've been alive. It allows you to be seen through the lens of presence and contribution, not through assumptions or expiration dates. Remember, life isn't measured by the number of candles on your cake, but by the light you continue to bring into this world. Now, let's move on to something just as personal, something that affects how people view you, treat you, and sometimes take advantage of you: your finances. 2. Money. Financial privacy is key. If age reveals how others perceive your potential, then money often reveals how they treat you. Over the years, I've witnessed how talking too openly about finances, whether it's wealth or struggle, can quietly change the way people interact with you. It's rarely about the numbers themselves. It's about the invisible weight those numbers carry in people's minds. You see, money is deeply emotional. For some, hearing that you're doing well financially may spark quiet envy, even if they don't show it. They might expect you to pay for dinner more often, to help out a relative, or to fund their ideas, simply because you can. And if you're not in a strong financial position, that can invite pity, unsolicited advice, or even damaging assumptions about your life choices. But here's the truth I always share with my clients: your financial situation is no one's business but your own. It doesn't define your value, your success, or your identity. Whether you've built up wealth through hard work, or you're living modestly and wisely, it belongs to you, and only you. And keeping it private gives you the freedom to make decisions based on your values, not on anyone's expectations. There's an old saying, money talks, but wealth whispers. And as we age, that whisper becomes wisdom. True financial security isn't about showing off. It's about being able to live comfortably, generously, and quietly. The less others know about your money, the more power you have over how it's used, how it's protected, and how it serves your future. Now that we've talked about finances, let's turn inward towards something even more intimate than a bank account: the relationships that shape our lives and the family secrets best left within the walls of home. 3. Family secrets, the sanctuary of home. After all, what's more personal than the home we come from? Finances may shape how others treat us, but it's our family, our roots, that shape how we see ourselves. And while family can be a source of love, care, and support, it can also carry wounds that never fully healed. Over the past decade, I've listened to countless stories from older adults who shared family matters outside their circle, only to feel exposed, misunderstood, or worse, judged for what others couldn't fully grasp. Every family has its history. Conflicts, misunderstandings, strained relationships, they're more common than most of us care to admit. But that doesn't mean they're meant for public consumption. When we share too much about what happens behind closed doors, we often do more than just vent. We risk breaking the sacred trust that holds family together, even when it's imperfect. Keeping certain stories inside the family isn't about hiding the truth. It's about protecting space for healing. Outsiders rarely know the full picture. And once opinions are formed, gossip spreads, or sympathy becomes scrutiny, it's hard to take back what's been said. Especially as we age, we may find ourselves reflecting on old hurts and wishing things had turned out differently. In those moments, silence can be a form of wisdom, not secrecy, but compassion. Family is complicated, but when we guard its privacy, we give relationships room to evolve without outside noise. We allow grace, not gossip, to guide the path forward. Because in the end, what matters most isn't how others perceive your family, but how your family finds its way back to one another when no one else is watching. And speaking of personal, let's talk about something many of us deal with quietly, sometimes daily: our health. 4. Medications. Just like family, our health is something we carry. And the older we get, the more central it becomes to our daily lives. I've spent years listening to older adults talk openly about their health challenges, sometimes out of trust, other times out of frustration or fear. And while it's natural to want to share what we're going through, especially when seeking comfort or connection, I've learned this: some parts of your health story deserve protection. By the time we reach our 50s, 60s, and 70s, many of us are managing chronic conditions, juggling multiple medications, or recovering from past procedures. And while sharing small updates can bring support, sharing too many details, what pills you take, what treatments you're undergoing, can unintentionally shift how others see you. Suddenly, you're not yourself in their eyes anymore. You become the person with arthritis, the one on blood thinners, the one who's not what they used to be. And what follows? Unwanted advice, judgments masked as concern, or the subtle pity in someone's voice when they say, "You poor thing." I've seen this over and over again, not out of cruelty, but out of misunderstanding. People mean well, but they forget that you are more than your medical chart. By keeping your medications and health details private, you regain control of your own narrative. You decide who gets to know and when. You remain the full, vibrant person you've always been, not reduced to symptoms or side effects. And if you're navigating something tough right now, know this: silence doesn't mean denial. It means dignity. Strength doesn't always speak out loud. It often lives in quiet choices, in living fully despite the struggles. Now, from the deeply personal world of health, we move into a subject even more intimate and often misunderstood: your private life, your desires, and the sacredness of intimacy. 5. Sexuality. Intimacy is sacred. If health speaks to how we feel inside, then intimacy speaks to how we connect with someone we trust, love, or simply share a quiet moment with. And yet, as we grow older, intimacy is often misunderstood, overlooked, or worse, dismissed as irrelevant. But I can tell you from years of working with older adults, intimacy never loses its value with age. It only deepens. Still, society has a strange way of reacting when seniors talk about their romantic or sexual lives. Some people snicker, others act uncomfortable, and a few even respond with disbelief, as if desire expires with your youth. But it doesn't. The need for touch, for closeness, for being truly seen, those needs remain. They evolve, yes, but they don't disappear. That's why it's important to protect this part of your life. Not because it's shameful, but because it's sacred. The bond you share with a partner, whether new or lifelong, is built on trust, vulnerability, and shared understanding. Oversharing that with others can chip away at something tender and real. It invites opinions where none are needed. And in some cases, it opens the door to disrespect, gossip, or uninvited questions. Your intimate life is your own. It deserves privacy, not exposure. Discretion isn't about hiding. It's about honoring what matters. And when intimacy is nurtured in quiet trust, it brings strength, comfort, and even healing. So whether you're in a relationship or quietly carrying love in your heart, remember this: what you hold sacred, you protect. And that protection begins with silence. Now let's shift from love to another quiet force that shapes how we live and give, our relationship with generosity, and why even good deeds are best done in private. 6. Charity, the quiet power of giving. After all, just like intimacy, giving is something we do from the heart, not for applause, not for attention, but because it feels right. And yet, in a world that celebrates public generosity, it can be tempting to announce the causes we support, the people we've helped, or the good we've done. But here's what I've learned, time and again, from those who give the most: the deepest acts of charity happen in silence. As we age, many of us feel called to give back, perhaps because we've been blessed, or because we understand the power of kindness more than ever before. Whether it's a donation to a local cause, a helping hand to a struggling neighbor, or a quiet loan to a family member, giving feels purposeful. But the moment we broadcast it, the meaning can shift. What was once sacred becomes something else, something transactional, something performative. And more than that, revealing our charitable acts can unintentionally put pressure on others, those who may not be in a position to give, or who now feel measured against our generosity. I've seen this happen, especially among close-knit families or small communities, where comparison quietly creeps in. The truth is, the most powerful gifts are those given freely and privately. When we give in silence, it's not about what others think. It's about what we know to be right. It respects the dignity of the person receiving help. It centers the act, not the actor. And in that quiet, something beautiful happens. Giving becomes grace. So the next time you're moved to help, do so quietly. Let your heart be the only witness. Because the world doesn't need to see your generosity, it needs to feel it. And now, from the silent strength of giving, let's talk about something equally powerful: your personal honor, and why protecting it sometimes means saying less, not more. 7. Honor, protecting your reputation. Just as true generosity doesn't seek attention, true honor doesn't ask for recognition. It simply is. Over the years, I've met so many older adults who've accomplished incredible things, built families, led teams, shaped communities, and yet the most honorable among them rarely spoke of those accomplishments. Not because they weren't proud, but because they knew real legacy is not built with words, but with quiet integrity. In our later years, it's only natural to look back. Sometimes, we want others to see all that we've done. And yes, there's value in telling your story. But there's a line between reflection and reputation building, and when crossed, it can shift how others see you. Talk too much about your achievements, and people may stop listening with admiration and start listening with comparison. The truth is, honor grows in silence. You don't need to remind the world who you are. The way you live speaks for you. The respect you've earned over decades doesn't need repeating. It shows up in how others speak about you when you're not in the room, in the way your presence still holds weight even when you say nothing. And perhaps most importantly, by keeping certain parts of your success private, you protect the meaning behind them. You allow others to form their own sense of who you are, without needing to frame the narrative. In a world that rewards loudness, there's quiet strength in restraint. Let your honor walk quietly beside you, not ahead of you. Now, let's shift from pride to pain. Because some things that live inside us, old wounds, harsh words, moments we wish we could erase, are better left behind than passed around. 8. Insults, letting go of past hurts. While honor asks us to walk with grace, pain often begs to be remembered, especially the kind of pain that came from words, sharp, careless, or cruel, that left a mark far deeper than anyone else could see. And yet, the longer I've worked with older adults, the more I've seen this truth. Holding on to past insults doesn't protect you, it holds you back. Maybe it was something a loved one said years ago, a moment when you were disrespected, or a situation where you felt small, overlooked, humiliated. Those memories have a way of lingering, even decades later. And sometimes, we carry them in silence. Other times, we retell them, hoping to find validation or understanding. But here's what I gently remind the people I work with. You don't have to relive the pain to heal from it. Repeating the story over and over doesn't bring closure. It often reopens the wound. And sharing those hurts with others may not lead to the comfort you're hoping for. It may only deepen resentment, reinforce bitterness, or stir up feelings that weigh you down. Forgiveness, in this stage of life, isn't always about others. It's about freeing yourself. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing peace over pain. It means giving yourself permission to move forward, not with a heavy heart, but with a lighter step. Because the truth is, no one escapes life without scars. But not every scar needs an audience. Some are better kept close, as reminders of what you've survived, and proof that you're still standing. And speaking of what lies closest to the heart, let's now explore something deeply personal, often misunderstood, and yet profoundly powerful: your inner beliefs, your guiding mantra, and why keeping it private may be the most empowering choice of all. 9. Mantra, the strength of personal belief. After pain, what often remains is perspective. And for many of us, that perspective is shaped by a quiet belief we hold deep inside. A mantra, a guiding principle, a spiritual phrase, or a personal philosophy that carries us through the hardest days and reminds us who we are. Over the years, I've seen how these inner beliefs become lifelines for older adults, especially in times of loss, uncertainty, or change. You may not call it a mantra. It might be a Bible verse, a piece of poetry, a line your mother once said, or even just a phrase you whisper to yourself when no one's listening. But whatever form it takes, it holds power. And that power often grows stronger when kept close to the heart. Sharing your personal belief with others can feel uplifting, but it also risks being misunderstood. What comforts you may confuse someone else. What gives you strength may be met with blank stares or even criticism. And when that happens, your most sacred source of courage can start to feel vulnerable. That's why I often encourage older adults to protect their inner compass. Let it guide you, ground you, and heal you, but keep it sacred. You don't need validation to believe. You don't need agreement to feel peace. Because at this point in life, wisdom is no longer loud. It's not about convincing others. It's about knowing, quietly, what carries you. And in that quiet knowing, there is resilience, grace, and something even stronger than opinion: clarity. So hold your mantra close. Let it belong to you, and only you. Because when the world becomes noisy, your inner truth will always be the voice worth hearing. Now, before we close, I have one last message for you. A reminder that your silence, your strength, and your story all matter, and they're far from over. If you've stayed with me until now, I want to say thank you. Not just for watching, but for caring. For taking the time to reflect, to consider, and to protect the life you've built. These aren't just tips. They are quiet truths that I've gathered over the years, walking beside older adults who've lived full, complex, beautiful lives. Lives like yours. We often hear that growing older means slowing down, fading out, or becoming less visible. But I don't believe that. Not for a second. I believe aging is a kind of awakening, where we finally start choosing what really matters, what to hold on to, and what to keep sacred. The 9 things we talked about today: your age, your finances, your family matters, your health, your intimacy, your giving, your honor, your past wounds, and your personal beliefs. These are not burdens. They're parts of you, but they're also yours to protect. And protecting them is not a sign of distance. It's a sign of wisdom. If something in this video spoke to your heart, even just one part, I'd truly love to hear from you. Speech balloon, please type 1 in the comments if you felt connected to this message. And if there's something you'd like me to improve or speak about next time, type 0. I read every message, and your voice helps shape this space for all of us. And if you believe more people need to hear messages like this, gentle reminders for living with dignity, strength, and clarity. Backhand index pointing right, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone you care about. We're building something meaningful here, not just a community, but a circle of truth, grace, and deep respect for the journey we're all on. Until we meet again, keep walking with quiet courage. Protect what's sacred. And never forget, your silence, your story, your strength, they all matter.